On that day, when evening had come, he said to them, "Let us go across to the other side." And leaving the crowd, they took him, and they went into the boat, and other boats were with him. A great windstorm arose, and the waves were breaking into the boat so that the boat was already filling. But he was asleep in the stern. Jesus was asleep on the cushion. And they woke him and said to him, "Teacher, do you not care that we're perishing?" And he awoke and rebuked the wind and said to the sea, "Peace, be still." And the wind ceased, and there was a great calm. He said to them, "Why are you so afraid? Have you still no faith?" And they were filled with great fear and said to one another, "Who then is this, that even the wind and the sea obey him?" Well, it was in the autumn of 2016 that Elaine and I decided together that I would retire from paid employment. And we decided I would do that at the close of the following year in 2017 and would begin 2018 as a retired man. And so I notified the company that I worked for of my intentions, and they agreed that that could happen. However, it wasn't really until September of the following year that my mind turned to what I would do with my time when I retire. And so Elaine and I, as we do with big decisions, we prayed about it, and we prayed about it together. And I thought about one of my colleagues who'd retired, and he'd taken cooking classes. And now he was doing all the cooking at home. And I thought, well, that's never going to happen. And then there was another friend, Dr. Scander, Negi Scander, known to many here today. And Negi had retired, and he was now embarked on an international ministry. And he was flying all over the world. And so I prayed, "Lord, I'll go wherever you want me to go. And whatever you want me to do, I'm available to do that." And I thought, well, and my passport's up to date. I didn't know I would just need my bus pass. I do believe that God called me to the work at Kilbride Hospice, to do that work and to be involved with all the wonderful friends that I see in these front rows here today. But its circumstances were unexpected, and the answer to my prayer, I have to say, was not at all what I anticipated. I received a phone call from a friend. He volunteered at Kilbride Hospice. Martin Everett was his name. And Martin, I had worked with him about 35 years ago. And we'd kept in touch ever since. And on occasions he would visit the church here. And we got to know one another really well, and we'd become really close friends. And so he'd spoken to Catherine Crosby and arranged for me to meet Catherine. And I have to say I was a bit surprised, and I had really low expectations of myself, because I thought, me, a chaplain at Kilbride Hospice? I thought, how would that be? And I wasn't at all sure at all. I met Catherine, and we got on very well, and I met her again. And I met some other folks. And I went through the recruitment process. And then I joined the team. And I remember even the first day arriving at the hospice. And I felt like a boy going to school. I really did. And I felt a bit insecure. But fairly quickly, I seemed to fit in. And Kilbride was the most positive environment. I thought, that's not the place for me. I'm quite a cheery wee fellow. And I thought, that's maybe not the place for me. I found it to be the most positive environment, and the people were just marvellous. For the folks that have not met anybody from the hospice, make sure you speak to some of the folks from the hospice that are in these front rows today. They're just the most marvellous people you'll ever meet. And so began my time at the hospice. I remember praying on my journey in the first morning, help me, Lord, to get on well and to fit in with these folks and to be of some help. And so my call to get involved was not a blinding light. It wasn't an audible voice, but I believe God worked in circumstances and through others to bring me into Kilbride Hospice. Being part of the remarkable team at Kilbride Hospice, the staff and the volunteers, it's just an honour. And being a chaplain there is a real privilege. And since the summer of 2018, much of my time has been spent in our inpatient unit, sometimes with people of faith, of strong and profound faith, often with people of no faith. And we are there to support them all and to help in the darkest and toughest and challenging moments of life, and sometimes in the final moments of their life. Time also spent with relatives who are only just managing to cope. And often, I think I can speak for others who are part of the spiritual care team, we feel quite inadequate. We read a few moments ago, though, of a time that the disciples were in a boat with Jesus and there was a storm. And they wakened him. He was sleeping. Jesus was sleeping. And they wakened him up and they said, "Don't you care? Don't you care?" I want to say to you this morning, I have a Saviour who cares deeply. He cares for you. He cares for me. I've known that in life. There's no one cares like Jesus. And Jesus doesn't promise a life without storms, without dark days. But he says, I'll tell you, I'll be with you in the storm. I'll be there. And we sang one of my favourite songs, I cannot tell why he whom angels worship should set his love upon the sons of men. That beautiful, beautiful tune. And it's all about the things that I can't answer. And often at the hospice I think like that. I have no answers at times. But I do have some answers to some of the questions. I can tell you this morning as we were singing, I have a Saviour who can heal broken hearts. He can calm our fears and he can lift heavy burdens. That's what Jesus does. And every day in Kilbride Hospice, this team who are sitting in these front rows today, that's the kind of work that they do. They help to heal broken hearts and still people's fears. That's what they do, and they help with heavy burdens that people are burdened with. And he can use us to do that. Isn't that remarkable? That he uses folks like us to do that. I was trying to think about the things that I'd learned over these last 2 years, and I've learned a lot. I've remembered again what professionalism looks like. I've seen expertise, you see, and it's combined with something else. And that's what makes it professional. Calmness and serenity. I see that every day in the deportment of these people here this morning who are with us from Kilbride. Expertise combined with a calmness and serenity that sometimes just leaves me in awe. And I've learned what compassion looks like. Not just being compassionate as a one-off, but day after day as I look at the people here. Nurses dealing with the darkest of moments. And then I've seen them dry a tear. And then walk down the corridor and into another room with a smile on their face that's genuine, with tender compassion. That's our team. That's the folks I'm proud to say I'm part of that team. Kilbride Hospice is the most remarkable place. It is full of life. It's positive, and it's a cheerful place. The folks here, they're from fundraising. Now, some of them are much younger than me, but as the folks in the church here know, I'm pretty much down with the kids. And I often just make an excuse to knock on the door and open that door at fundraising just to get a gulp of energy from these folks and just get on again with the day. I see every day tireless effort, people going the extra mile, and people valuing one another in the hospice and supporting one another. Why are we there? Well, you've seen the advert, I hope, and you would maybe see it earlier. We're here. We're here for one because we care. And we really do care, don't we? But none of us has to stand alone. It's a place, Kilbride Hospice, where none of us stands alone. And we support one another. And I want to thank those from Westwoodhill Church who regularly pray for me. And I'd ask you to continue to do that, but to pray for the whole team and ask God's blessing upon them. Thank you.